So my film's called SOUL CARRIAGE, and it's a film I made in China. It's about a young construction worker in Shanghai, and one of his friends dies on the job. And at the beginning of the film, this guy's got not much going on. He's trying to get more work, and then the boss finally goes, "Okay, I've got a job you can help me out with now. You know, we had an accident on the site. This guy died. I need you to get him out of here and find his family somewhere in rural China and take him back to his family." So then it becomes a kind of road movie, traveling from Shanghai into the countryside with this guy with his dead friend in the back of his car. And he's trying to find some clues, some people that know him, anybody that's willing to take this guy, basically. And yeah, that's what it's about. As a director, all you're doing is making choices, right? Like thousands of choices every day in terms of art design, costume, framing, whatever. And for me, I like to have a really concrete concept and theme. So all these choices can kind of fit together. So in the movie, then there's going to be a whole. You know, it's not just random. You know, where you shoot, what clothes you put on someone, or whatever. I would rehearse a lot, you know, with the main actor, who's also a non-professional, and we would improvise in rehearsal, and then we would kind of tighten it down and more or less know how he was going to work. Occasionally I would, like, we shot in a market and a few other places, and I more or less would just get the cameras in position, and I would just throw this guy into the market and let him just interact totally naturally with, you know, the store manager or whatever. So then there was no control about exactly how the conversation was going to go. I think it's almost a trend in Chinese cinema now, and there's a lot of Chinese directors that, you know, they stopped focusing on, like, big political events in China and putting a story inside it, you know. Now they just focus on a character, and they let the politics and the history and all of that it's there anyway. You can't avoid it, you know. You don't need to go directly to it, and I think that's a, you know, much more interesting way of making cinema. Yeah, I mean, someone asked me yesterday in the Q&A, they were like, well, how can you understand Chinese people or something? You know, how can you make a film about Chinese people? And, you know, I mean, one thing is like, well, you know, you can't, or you know, I don't understand Chinese people more than I understand women or people from the north of England or whatever. But, you know, when you make fiction, you invent characters. They're all imaginary selves, essentially. But I understand Chinese people way better having made this film than I would have done not making it. So yeah, I mean, I was thinking maybe I should be making like a world trilogy now, and I've done China, the Arab world, and I have an idea based in Africa, and I'm sort of thinking about it, but it depends whether, you know, it's also a personal thing, whether you want to go and spend 2 years making that type of movie. Beijing's a way more interesting city than Shanghai, and there's a lot going on. And yeah, it's a cool place to live.